Good morning, Adamila Prasad sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning to all. This is Dr. Rajarajan from Sri Sai Ram Institute of Technology.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, nice to sir. Sir, nice to sir.
Yes, sir. This is Rajarajan, sir.
Sir, good morning, sir. Rajarajan,
Morning,
sir,
good
good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, sir. How are you, sir?
Sir, fine, sir. Fine, sir. Sivasankar, madam. Madam.
Yes, sir.
Director sir జాయిన్ అయిపోయారు.
Okay, sir.
మనకి కన్వీనర్ రాజన్ సార్ జాయిన్ మన సార్ రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్ ఎడ్వన్ ప్రసాద్ సార్ కూడా జాయిన్ అయిపోయారు ఐఐటి మద్రాస్. ప్రిన్సిపల్ గా జాయిన్ అయ్యారా గారు?
లేదు సార్, ఇంకా జాయిన్ అవ్వలేదు సార్.
ఓకే.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
నాగేశ్వర గారు సార్ మీ వాయిస్ మాకు వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
Not audible, not audible. Problem. నాకేదో ప్రాబ్లం సార్ వినిపించట్లేదా?
Sir, good morning, sir.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ జగన్ భాయ్.
Madam.
Yes, sir.
So,
Shall we
sir,
start? Shall we start?
yes, madam. Principal sir, sir, please proceed,
Yes,
madam.
sir. Yes, sir. Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Edamana Prasad, sir,
Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Head of Teaching Learning Center of IIT Madras. Respected Director Dr. J. Giri sir, our energetic Principal Dr. CLV RSV Prasad sir, respected Academic Dean Dr. Rajarajan sir from Sairam Institute of Technology, Chennai, respected HOD EC Dr. V. Jaganavin sir, all Associate Deans, Heads of various departments, faculty members and participants. A warm and pleasant good morning to one and all. I feel privileged to welcome you all for this joint collaborative 5 days online FDP on ICT tools for teaching, learning, pedagogy with Sairam Institute of Technology, Chennai. Information communication technology ICT tools contribute to high quality lessons since they have potential to increase students' motivation, connect students to many information sources, support in-class and out-class learning environments, and let instructors to allocate more time for facilitation. Therefore, use of ICT tools in teaching learning process becomes a great area of research for many educators. These new technologies encourage independent and active learning. As a result, the students feel more responsible for their own learnings. Therefore, this FDP aims to reveal to what extent instructors use ICT tools in their courses and determine what ICT tools they utilize. Also, to assess the contribution of ICT to learning, teaching, both from students and instructors' perspective. Hence, I request all the participants to utilize this opportunity. With this brief note, I once again welcome you all for this 5 days FDP. Thank you. Now, I request our HOD EC, Dr. V. Jaganavin sir, to say a few words on this FDP.
Thank you, madam. Respected Director Sir, Girish Sir, Director GMR Varalakshmi Foundation, Principal of GMR IT, Dr. Prasad, and Principal of Sri Sairam Institute of Technology, Dr. Falini Kumar Sir. Today, the Chief Guest and Resource Person, Dr. Edmund Prasad Sir from IIT Madras, and Convener of the Sairam Institute of Technology, S. Rajan Sir, and Coordinator Suganti from Sairam Institute of Technology, faculty members, and the participants. A very good morning to you all. So we welcome for a 5-day FDP on ICT tools for teaching, learning, pedagogy, jointly organized by the GMR Institute of Technology, Rajam, and Sri Sairam Institute of Technology, Chennai. So majorly this workshop is focused on technological tools in the education to enhance the teaching learning process. So the advantages of the tools are to maximize the retention capacity among the 21st generation learners. And in this workshop, around 500 participants are registered at various parts of the country, and we welcome all the participants to utilize the workshop to the fullest extent. And we all once again thank all the resource persons for accepting our invitation in spite of the busy schedule. Thank you one and all, and thank you very much. Madam, over to you, madam.
Yes, sir. Now I request our Academic Dean, Dr. Rajarajan sir of Sairam Institute of Technology to say a few words on this FDP. Rajarajan sir.
Can you hear me, ma'am? No?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this opportunity. Good morning to all. First of all, I want to thank the director of GMR Institute of Technology, the principal of GMR Institute of Technology to give us this forum for joining our hands to conduct this FDP on ICT tools for teaching, learning, pedagogy. First of all, I welcome everybody, all the members, those who joined as delegates, as well as the chief guest and the HOD of ECE, convener of from the both institute, the conveners of this particular FDP. I welcome all to this FDP. It is this FDP 5-day sessions will be much useful to you. I hope so, because a lot of tools have been have to be introduced through this FDP. Basically, in order to cope up with the technology, the teachers also have to change the pedagogy from the traditional method to the modern digital technology. This is what the recommendation is FDP. So I welcome one and all to this FDP to get benefited out of it. Definitely, this FDP will be much useful to all the members. And I thank once again all the participants for your overwhelming response for our second FDP, joint FDP. So in future also we are ready to do the same thing with the GMR Institute of Technology. I thank all the members, all the top level management members, directors, principal, and once again for this opportunity. Once again, I welcome all to this FDP. Thank you very much for this opportunity given to me. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our beloved principal, sir, to say a few words to our gatherings.
Thank you, Shivshankari. Good morning to all of you. At the outset, let me thank Director Mr. Rajarajan from Sri Sai Ram Institute of Technology, Chennai, for accepting to collaborate with GMR IT in making this program to happen. Thank you, Professor, for agreeing and collaborating with our team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You are always welcome, and we need this kind of collaboration, sir, in future also.
Thank you very much. And in fact, the topic that is chosen is almost, I should say that it is very apt a topic which is there very much needed for the teaching community to get ready and tuned with the post-COVID scenario. Usage of ICT tools in teaching learning pedagogy and in teaching learning process was to a limited extent, I think, till 2020, that is a pre-COVID. But somehow the post-COVID scenario has made the entire world, the higher education sector, to realize the importance of the usage of ICT tools, because that has become a completely next to an alternate for the offline education, and it is a must. So in that perspective, making the people ready to use the ICT tools are available, but we always know that conventionally people say that ICT tools cannot replace chalk and talk. But even that, ultimately, it is a debatable comment now. So I do not know. Definitely, the ICT tools can replace chalk and talk, because nowadays across the globe, there are many universities, they are offering degrees, postgraduate degrees, and completely in the online mode. When something is happening across ultimately, and seeing is believing, we need to see what is actually really happening and making the program so successful purely in the online mode. That means we are into something like a stigma where we need to come out saying that yes, chalk and talk will always have always an emotional element which is over and above the online classes. In online classes, what is that missing will be an emotional element. And that emotional element will be there in the offline classes, but that may not exist in the online. But having said all these things, the new ICT tools are coming in such a way that making even online classes more effective. The student engagement and faculty engagement is completely brought into reality, brought into close to reality, I should say. That means maybe it could be either virtual reality or AR. Ultimately, we are creating classrooms in a virtual mode, and it is completely close to the with the similarity to the offline classes. So in that context, getting all the faculty get sensitized about the various ICT tools and the technologies that can be used for a teaching learning process is a must. And in that context, I think I should compliment the Department of EC and other departments who have taken up these initiatives for training the faculty members. That is one side. Now, as of now, we are only worried about training the faculty members in getting used to the ICT tools. How about students? Even students are in the same stage. Till recent, none of the students were exposed to online learning. Now we are talking about online teaching as far as the teachers are concerned. Now coming to the students, when it is online learning, that is again a big question mark. So we need to do a lot of sensitization programs even for the students as well. So I think that this program that we are doing it for teachers, one is for the self-learning, and the other one is I should also expect some of the speakers to dwell on some of the ways how to make the students really understand, engage them properly, and making more class effectively in the online mode so that they have a replica of the offline class in the online mode. We all know that now we are coining a new process called blended learning. Now, blended learning will be the future of all your learning systems. It is a combination of both physical as well as the online. So I'm sure that all the sessions that are there for the next 5 days will make all the faculty members to understand and realize the importance of that. And I'm sure that all people will have lot of new awareness with the new tools that are being introduced, because EdTech industry has gone up in multiples, in 10x mode in the last 3 years. Hundreds of EdTech tools have come, EdTech platforms have come, and LMS have come. All this is ultimately shown as a big business opportunity even for the new entrepreneurs. There are many teachers who are turned into entrepreneurs by having their own EdTech platforms and by creating their own LMS. So it is to be viewed in various perspectives. So I'm sure that all the people who are attending the program will have a lot of takeaway from this 5 days workshop, and I wish all the best for the people who have participated and also for the people who are organizing it. Good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request our director, sir, Dr. J. Giri, sir, to say a few words to our participants.
Good morning to you all. The management and the principal and faculty members of Sri Sai Ram Institute of Technology, Principal Dr. Prasad Garu, and faculty and heads of the department, Associate Dean, GMR Institute of Technology, all the participants, huge participation from different parts of the country, from different states. Good morning, you all. This is very important to learn the ICT tools because not only learning ICT tools, we need to implement on emergency basis, not even urgent basis, because the things are going very, very fast in exponential way. Now the many countries, especially like if you look at Australia, the Australia AQF, Australian Qualification Framework, have given accreditations up to 10. The AQF 10 stands for PhD degree, AQF 9 stands for master's degree. That means all degrees equally, they will get online degrees, will get equal weightage and equal accreditation without attending a single piece of class. That is how the AQF, the qualification framework, has given grants up to PhD, not even master's degree. That is the seriousness of online degree. And many countries, they're recognizing, even in US, especially in Europe, all countries, the qualification framework, the regulatory authorities at higher education, they have given clearance for the accreditations for qualification framework. So that is how, if you look at the upgrade is jumped into it, they are offering degrees straight away. Now the degrees are being offered in bachelor's level, bachelor degree 3 years, bachelor degree with honors 4 years, regular BSc degrees, as well as engineering with honors, masters and PhD, whatnot. Now recently the major fields in the country like upgrade and great learning being acquired by the Byju's. Those who are into the social media, you can see very well how Amitabh Bachchan is coming into picture, upgrade, canvassing, advertisementing and all. And the turnover is in billions of dollars. The turnover is billions of dollars. That means that is the seriousness. And major universities invested a huge amount on the online learning platform. They are developing wonderful learning management system. So therefore, the key, the backbone of this online degrees is very simple. It is a learning management system, very powerful learning management system, and very well thought of keeping the pedagogy. as well as the assessment system is very matured assessment system. So therefore, if you look at the online degree, online learning is no more going to be inferior to the physical class, rather than it is superior to the physical classes because of the standardization. As online degree, you will have the quality standardization, whereas in physical classes, it is very much dependent on the faculty. So therefore, I think our conventional colleges also very quickly, they need to adopt and they should quickly move into maybe 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% offering the credits through MOOCs platform. So therefore, it is essential to have their own Moodle platform, LMS, and probably in future for us, colleges like us also, we need to have one more income resources should be offering online certifications and online degrees. That is going to be a major income than the physical classes. So I think in this context, it is very important to equip, and also not only equip, and we need to develop, each faculty should develop their own course content using the ICT tools, and they should use the LMS platform. So then we can be ready with the competition. So I think it is very much essential. I hope all the speakers will look into it and address these challenges, and then we should learn it very quickly and adopt it. Thank you, Vinod. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request today's chief guest, Dr. Edamana Prasad, sir, to address to all the participants.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This program having so many participants. Initially, my impression was only from these two institutes. Good that technology is there to help us to reach out many, but at the same time, we need to be careful in using the technology in the sense that, see, any tool, the effectiveness depends upon how we use it. So the technology, ICT tools for teaching learning is a tremendous opportunity. At the same time, teachers should be trained how we can utilize it effectively, in the sense that learners are actually learning the intended learning. If teachers focus on these ICT tools only for providing platforms, then there is a greater danger awaiting for us, in the sense that you may be able to provide these things to a larger audience, because technology is now capable of doing that. But at the same time, if the learners, the receiving end, doesn't process it, and the technology is not helping the teachers to ensure that processing of learning is happening, then we have a problem. So I think this 5-day workshop should be critically analyzing how do we effectively utilize it. We should not take anything for granted, in my opinion, in the sense that I'm talking from a technology institute. So I'm not telling it is either, in a negative way or a positive way, but my message, or probably the way that I'm going to organize my first session, is let us see the reality, how teachers are going to be trained and how they can actually utilize this opportunity for the betterment of learning. It is very, rather easy to say that there are a lot of opportunities. We can actually make a huge change in the world, but practically on the ground reality, how things work. So there is no need for a comparison between offline and online, because in both cases there can be flip side. The training program should address how do we deal with these flip sides of offline and online, right? I mean, because the intended learning is the important thing. Do we have this intended learning coming to a proper reality? Most of the time, see, what happens is teachers consider teaching as a kind of a performance from the teacher side, the conventional teaching concept. This concept has to be changed. Teachers should not be in the performance part, and it is easier said than done. We can tell a lot of theories and then learner-centric approach, etc., etc. But the moment teacher goes to the class, we know what happens. teacher takes over the time in the class for communicating or conveying the content. This is the culture that we need to change. It's very hard, believe me, because I've been conducting a lot of faculty development programs. The classroom time, suppose there is 50 minutes of the class. If I tell the teacher, use it only 5 minutes for talking, rest the students work in the class. Answer is impossible, sir. It is not possible. So unless we try to train ourselves in such a way that the oral communication from the teacher minimize, whether it is online or offline, make sure that the students work on the intellectual heavy lifting should be done by the learner, not by the teacher. We need to rearrange or redesign the classrooms like that. Then chalk and talk works, offline works, online works, everything works. So this is what I wanted to communicate in my inaugural address, and I appreciate the effort that people are taking towards enhancing the learning process by all means, and especially I'm communicating my appreciation to GMR and Sairam Institutes of Technology for coming together on a collaborative basis to do this kind of workshop, and looking forward to the my session. Thank you very much for inviting me. All the best.
Thank you, sir. I thank our management for providing a support for conducting this FTP. So thank you, Director sir and Principal sir. So let us move into a session 1, effective teaching. Now I welcome Ms. Durga Kameshwari ma'am to introduce
Thank
our
you,
guest.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to the dignitaries present over the online mode, to the faculty members, and a very warm welcome to all the participants who are there in the online mode. It gives me immense pleasure in introducing our today's chief guest of the inaugural function, and also our resource person, Dr. Edamana Prasad. Dr. Edamana Prasad is a professor at Department of Chemistry, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. He is also working as head of Teaching Learning Center at IIT Madras, where group of faculty members from science and engineering departments IIT Madras has been actively participating in organizing various activities for improving the teaching learning process in the higher education sector of the country. Recently, MHRD has sanctioned a project of around 4.5 crores for TLC to augment its activities. To his credit, Dr. Edamana Prasad sir has around 41 journals and 96 publications in reputed journals. We are very much thankful to you, sir, for accepting our request and sharing your knowledge to all our participants. Now the session is over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think you need to stop the screen sharing so that I can.
Yes, sir.
From your end. Yeah. All right. To share my screen. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay. All right. So good morning. Welcome to the first session. The idea here is, like our principal, your principal told in the beginning, how to engage learners during an online session. Offline it is easy because physically both teacher and the student are present in a confined space. Now here space is not confined. People are scattered all over the country. And how do we effectively engage learners in an online session, which is a part of teaching pedagogy. We'll try to do that, and so that when you take a session, you can also see whether this model works. Second thing I wanted to mention in my session is, see, ICT tools. If you take the whole teaching learning process, there are three elements. So we need to combine these three elements, even if you are using any technology-based teaching. This technology-based teaching doesn't mean that you just use one tool for teaching, and the moment you use that tool, everything will fall in line. May not be the correct approach. So we'll see what are the elements which we need to also take into account in addition to the tool. That's also important. Tool alone will not do anything. Okay, tool is a assisting thing, but we need to do some preparation before we use the tool, after we use the tool, and of course getting training on the tool. That's a different aspect that I think depends upon the technology that you use. You need to get trained on that, the software that you're adopting, whatever computer-based technique that you are using, that training you need to get separately. But before using the tool, during using the tool, and after using the tool, a teacher need to get some more other elements. We'll discuss that also. So the three pillars or three aspects which makes pedagogy effective are these three that you can see in the slide. One is the clarity of a teacher towards what is to be learned in a topic. It's not easy. We know what is to be taught, but most of the time we may not be knowing what is to be learned in that topic. What do you mean by the expected learning? You may be writing some learning outcomes for accreditation mode, but the clarity of the teacher on the intended learning is the first step in pedagogy. This has nothing to do with the ICT tool per se. ICT tool is only a medium, but when you teach a topic, what is to be learned in that topic should be clear to the teacher. Tool or use any other mode, the whole effectiveness will come down very sharply. Okay, so we'll discuss a few aspects about this intended learning in the beginning. Then comes to the tools or methods. And the third element which has to be again taken into consideration is, after using the tool, is learning verification. You can use a tool for separate tool for learning verification also, like learning management systems are there. But that also has to be very, very carefully used in continuation of the first two. These three things are like a synchronized elements. If a teacher is focusing only one of these elements, will not be an effective teacher. All the three elements should be equally having weightage. So a pedagogy approach towards teaching, we should always consider that equal importance should be given to these three essential things. Over and above, we can add any more, but these three are basic requirements. So let us see these three elements in slightly detailed fashion. For that, I want your help. So I hope you have a pen and paper, because it's a conference or a workshop. So otherwise you can easily get it, because either you are in the workplace or home. I want you to think about a course that you are going to teach, or you take your favorite course. And I want you to write one learning outcome for that course, one intended learning. Let us discuss how clear are you about the intended learning. Take a minute. Then what I plan is, I will go to the participant list and then randomly call people's name after a minute. Okay, great. I think you must have written something. So let me just invite a few people. Bhavya AB. Bhavya AB. Are you there? Okay. Dr. Chandrasekhar NS.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Would you kindly share us your thoughts?
About this ICT, no?
No. I had a slide before 2 minutes.
Yeah. Course planning, that is subject for the next semester planning, no?
Yeah, it's not about course planning. It's about a course that you are planning to teach and one intended learning in that course. One intended learning. What is to be learned? One of the learnings in that course.
In fact, this time I have planned for the subject is VLSI design.
Okay.
And in that designing of the MOSFET, that I have planned to for this semester, sir.
I see. Designing of the
structure, the designing of the transistor, how it can be fabricated.
Okay. So this is one of the intended learning, right? Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Now,
yes, sir.
So let us hear a few more examples. Teachers may have some expectations about learning, but then the question is, are we communicating to any external body or to the university or the institute in a format that the intended learning is and the depth of learning is clear to both teacher and student? So let us see. I will get a few more examples and then we will discuss.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Dr. B. Anil Kumar. Dr. B. Anil Kumar. Okay. Dr. D. Suresh. Anil Kumar is there. Yeah, please go ahead. Anil, you're not audible. Did you unmute? Okay, I think there is some problem with the audio. We'll come back to you, Anil. Dr. Suresh, D. Suresh. Dr. D. Suresh. Okay. Dr. M. Krishna Prasad. Dr. M. Krishna Prasad. Jayadevi S.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Okay, who is speaking?
Hello, sir. This is
Jayadevi
Jay
speaking?
Devi, sir.
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
Jay Devi.
yeah.
Yes. Actually, I plan for to take an final year subject, power system operation and control.
Okay.
Here, this outcome is based on each unit. I have to fit the outcomes also. For example, sample, I can tell that first unit discuss about the load forecasting techniques and what are the methods to solve that. So based on that, I can be frame the outcome as to discuss or explain the load forecasting techniques and various control methods in the power system. That is the outcome of that first unit. Likewise, second, third, fourth, five.
Jaydevi, there can be multiple outcomes. As I agree with you, different modules, different units. But now, I mean, right now, what we are discussing is how we can actually design one outcome with a proper understanding of how to design outcome. So you said explain the one of the outcomes that you said. Can you please repeat it?
There is a load forecasting technique, future prediction of the load forecasting techniques.
Right.
What are the methods available? Based on that, we have to be explaining the first outcome.
Okay. So
for that, I have to be yes.
No problem.
What are the tools I have to be used to? Yes, sir.
No. So what I'm trying to do is we are now telling one outcome and see whether that outcome statement is properly framed or not. That's what we are trying to discuss.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So there are different elements that a teacher needs to take care while designing an outcome. So for example, when we say that the students are, I mean, my intention is that they will explain the whatever that you told. Whether that one sentence is actually enough to communicate the depth of learning that teacher is intending them to have. That's the question.
Yes.
Or how we can modify or how we can make it in such a way that the teacher and the student are on the same page as far as the learning effectiveness is concerned. See, these are all only statements that we make, right? Whether
we are being framing. Yes.
Whether they are understanding what exactly we think. That's what we are trying to verify now. So for that, I just need to get some examples of outcomes that you are normally designing. So 2 examples we heard, a couple of more I will hear, and then I for the first 2 examples that I heard, we can actually, there's a scope for improving. So we will see how we can do that. Okay, let us hear a couple of more. Let me ask Rambabu, Mr. M. Rambabu. Okay. Srinivasa Rao, Mr. BMS Srinivasa Rao. Okay. Reshmi Keti. Reshmi Keti. Rupa BS. Rupa BS. Sanjay Kumar Ray. Oh, sorry, I think guest. Maybe I don't know what is guest means. Suganti. So probably one thing that those who are listening to me now see this flip side of tool also. You are reaching so many people, 111 participants are there. But how many are responding? How many are basically getting engaged? This is important in learning. So when we use these online platforms for teaching, it is teachers' responsibility that the learners are getting engaged. So Let us see.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Nityanand from M. Kumarasamy College of Engineering, Kannur, sir, Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
I would like to tell one learning outcome, sir.
Go ahead.
Actually, I'm handling heat and mass transfer for third year mechanical engineering students. So the first learning outcome, apply Fourier law of heat conduction to solve rate of heat transfer in steady and unsteady state heat conduction problem.
Okay. So now this learning outcome has actually two elements which are essential for learning outcome. Right? He uses two words which actually are required for a particular. So what it will make sense when we continue our discussion. But there are two aspects for learning outcome, and these two aspects are actually incorporated in the learning outcome I just heard. Now let me hear one more example. Then we will go to the slide and explain what are the actual things to be taken care when we design outcome. Tamil Shelvi? Yeah. Are you? I see you're unmuting, but we are not able to hear you. Okay, maybe an audio problem. Kamesh? Venkata Kamesh? 1 second. Venkata Kamesh is not there. Okay. Sweta?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sweta, can you tell one learning outcome for your course?
Sir, I am new joining to the department, so I am yet to start, sir. I am new to the teaching field, sir.
Called learning outcome?
What, sir? Pardon?
Have you heard about the concept called learning outcome?
Sir, that's what, sir. I am new joining to the department, sir.
Okay, all right. So you can attend. We'll discuss it so you can understand it. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
Right. Pramila. Sorry, Pramila M. No, Pramod Kumar. Okay. Mamata.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'll be handling optimization techniques. And for the first unit, course outcome is to classify the optimization problems and also apply classical optimization techniques to solve nonlinear programming problems by using analytical methods. And for the second unit, by using numerical methods.
No problem, no problem. One is enough.
Yes.
One is enough because we are now trying how we can, what is the principle of this designing outcome? How do we actually do it? That is what our focus, because in pedagogy, whatever tools that we are going to use, unless we are clear what is to be learned, what is the point in talking about tools, right? So
yes,
clarity on the intended learning is the question. So now, as you can see in this slide, before designing outcome, a faculty member is supposed to ask these two questions to himself or herself. Question number 1. What should students know and be able to do as a result of my teaching? As a result of my teaching, what they will be able to do. That answer should be clear to the faculty. Second question. As a result of my teaching, what cognitive level can the student perform? This also should be clear to the teacher. So that's what these two elements that I was mentioning, these are the two elements. One is what they are supposed to do as a result of your teaching. Second thing is when they do something, which level of thinking, cognition means thinking. So cognitive level, what will be the cognitive level they will be involved when they perform something. These two elements should be there in the learning outcome statement. So when you say learning outcome contains two elements, one is a performance from the student, something they do, they will be able to do. That means that's an action. It may be a cognitive action, a thinking action. So that learning outcome will always contain an action word or a verb. The only condition is teacher should ensure that this action or the verb is observable. In the sense, whatever the student is doing, teacher should be able to see it. It should be observable. That's the condition. So learning outcome statements, when you design, please keep this guideline in mind. Ensure that something that I tell, this is my expectation about learning. This is the intended learning. This is the learning outcome. This is the learning objective. There are different names. So for the time being, don't worry about the names. We are trying to communicate to the learner that this is my expectation about your learning. In that expectation statement, there should be an action from the student. So from the previous examples that we heard in this workshop, we said, some teachers have expectation that they will design a transistor. Some teachers have expectation about explaining something. Other teacher may have an expectation of classifying something. So there is a action word coming from student side. Solving problem. That is another expectation. So there is an expectation, which is an action, which is observable, that is coming. So the first part of designing an expectation on learning is something that students doing, which you can observe. Now, there is one more aspect that we need to bring along with that. That is where many teachers miss this. Teachers always write outcomes, something that they do. These action words are coming now, almost every learning outcome. But what is missing is the second step. Which level of thinking is involved? So for that, we need to know there are different levels of thinking. And everybody knows that. They are aware of Bloom's taxonomy, unless those who are coming teaching for the first time. Those teachers who are already in the business, they know that there is something called a taxonomy of learning. Many higher education teachers, thanks to the FDPs happening across the semester, teachers are now familiar about Bloom's taxonomy, or we say revised Bloom's taxonomy. There are different levels of thinking. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. And there are these action words. Students doing action, like write, plan, design, calculate, plot, draw, list, correlate, identify. So there will be a bunch of action words and 6 levels. We are going to use these two things to write our outcomes. We have to use these two things together. One thing alone is not sufficient. So many learning outcomes that I see in the websites, these students will be able to apply something. They'll be able to analyze something. That alone is not sufficient. When we say apply, analyze, what we are trying to do is the level of thinking. But action is missing. Sometimes I see teachers writing, they'll be able to calculate something, but the level is missing. Only action is there. So in a proper learning outcome, we need both. An action from their side and a level of thinking needed for that action. So what I want you to do now is use these two things and modify your learning outcome wherever it is necessary. First, tell what is the action that you are expecting. Then tell which level of thinking is required for doing that action. Take a minute, then I will request some of you to respond.
Yes. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, there is one course outcome for one subject that I will read out just now in front of you.
Answering? One second. So are you planning to club these two things now?
Whatever is there, that
is it a question or is it an answer to my question?
It is an answer.
Then please wait.
What I'm thinking, it may be the answer what you are asking, but whether it is correct or not.
No problems. No problem. What we'll do is we'll just wait for a minute. Let everybody prepare their answers. Then you can start. Yeah.
Yes.
Just give 1 minute for everybody, so that they prepare something.
So please repeat the question, sir.
The question is question is the same thing, right? Learning outcome. But in that learning outcome, we need both. One observable action, something like we are writing on the left side here, write, plan, design, calculate, something students do. And also, when they do this action, which level is needed for that action? So the statement contains two aspects. One is an action and a corresponding level. Level you can mention in bracket. I mean, this is the level in which we are focusing. But both information should be there in the learning outcome. Okay. So, sir, I think you can start. Please read your course outcomes. One outcome.
Sir, this is related to one subject, embedded system.
Okay.
And I want that my student should be able to interface input and output devices with the target board. This is my intention. And for that, I have written that demonstrate the interfacing of I/O devices with target board.
Okay. So now there is an action, right? Interface. So in that, is it a theory course or a laboratory-based course? They are actually interfacing.
This is a laboratory-based course. Laboratory-based course.
Okay. So they are actually doing this interfacing, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. That is the intention, because normally the revised Bloom's taxonomy that I have shown you is strictly meant only for theory courses. But it's okay. We can still use it for laboratory also. If the interfacing doesn't require a lot of physical skills, still we can utilize it for lab course. So now, if you look at your learning outcome statement, interface is an action word which you can observe. Somebody is making two different things and an interface, working on the interface. That is something observable. Now, to do that job, the level of thinking required is not mentioned in that learning outcome.
Demonstrate, sir. Demonstrate
that is only action.
Action, okay.
That's only action. Are they demonstrating by only remembering things? Are they demonstrating by understanding the concept? Are they demonstrating by applying some concepts? Are they demonstrating by analyzing the concept? Which one you want them to do? It is possible for all levels. Demonstration is possible in all levels of thinking. Which level do you want as a teacher or as an institute or a university? What is the intended level of thinking, depth of learning? That
apply level. My intention is to this apply level. Yes,
so interfacing, there is some protocols. You want them to apply those protocols and then do the interface job, right?
Yes, sir.
So in that case, the level is apply. So after writing the learning outcome statement that you told me, in the bracket, you can mention apply level.
In the last.
Last.
Okay, sir.
So now you are clear. The students may not be familiar with the apply level, analyze level, but you can always explain to them what it is. And suppose there is an accreditation body comes, they are also clear what is the intention. That means everybody is on the same page. But if you leave that apply level out, it is not there, then there can be a confusion whether students are actually doing the interface by remembering something that they just learned in the class and reproducing it from memory, or are they actually creating something and then do the interface job. We don't know. That is not clear. So to bring that clarity, what is the intended learning? We need these two elements, action and level. Okay, let us hear more examples.
Actually, sir, in this, in the RBT auxiliary words, there is one demonstrate is there in the apply level. By thinking that, I kept that. But as you said in the bracket, in the last we shall mention apply. That will be better.
Right. Now, one more thing is there. When you say demonstrate is there in the apply level means, some teachers tend to think that when we say demonstrate, it is only possible in apply level. It is not like that. Any action word can happen in any level of thinking. In principle. Okay. When you just Google Bloom's taxonomy and action words, they give a table. That table is highly misleading. Because the message that is conveyed to the teaching fraternity is that certain action words are bound or binded to certain levels. That is incorrect. Okay, there is no such a priori binding between the action words and the level of thinking. In principle, any action can be done in any level. So demonstrate doesn't necessarily mean that it is in apply level. People can demonstrate in creative level. People can demonstrate.
Yes, sir.
Without
using those auxiliary words, also we can create the question which will fall in the apply level, sir.
Yes, and
right, sir.
Right,
Yes,
exactly.
right,
now
sir.
The apply level we need to mention in the beginning, so that teachers also know question should be in the apply level, as you said. Students also, if you explain to them what this level means, apply level means, they can also expect what kind of questions are going to be asked, so they can prepare. So there are advantages for both teachers and learners if you mention these two things, action and the level. Let us hear another example. Pavitra SG. Okay. Pramila.
Yes.
Pavitra is there. Yeah, please go ahead. Pavitra, please go ahead. I think not audible. Krishna Reddy. Okay. Sandhya Rani. Sandhya Rani. Divya Mathuri. Divya Mathuri. Ramesh.
Yes, sir. This is Ramesh.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It is here.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Sir, I am handling engineering mechanics subject.
Okay.
In that, I have prepared one outcome is calculate centroid and moment of inertia of composite areas in apply level. Apply level.
So now calculate is the action, level is apply. Now it is clear because calculation can be done in any level. Okay. See, that's the important aspect I want to communicate. Calculate can be done. See, for example, suppose we do a problem in the class. Moment of inertia, you calculate. Suppose exactly the same problem teacher asks in the exam, student can actually calculate by remembering also. Suppose I'm talking about is a scenario where only memory is utilized to solve the problem. Calculate. So calculation is possible in remember level. Suppose the student is so brilliant that he comes out or she comes out with a creative way of calculating moment of inertia other than what we know. So calculation is still doing, but in a different level. So like that, it is possible to do the job in multiple levels of thinking. which level teacher wants, the outcome. That's what we are trying to communicate. So very good. So let us hear another example. Raju, Mr. G. N. Raju, yeah. Not able to hear. JSP Shivakumar. JSP Shivakumar. Your voice is a bit low. Can you just increase the system volume or something?
Good morning, sir. Am I audible, sir, now?
Now it is better. Yeah.
Actually, my doubt is explain is coming under understand and analyze. How can you differentiate the question by giving the explain?
Say it again. Explain is coming.
Understanding and analyzing section both.
So that's what. So good that you ask. Many teachers have this doubt whether one action word is coming in multiple levels. So when you think that this job is done, see, any thinking process, when you ask a student to do, students are taking cues from multiple levels. We cannot analyze it. We cannot actually probe it. He may be remembering something. He may be creatively thinking something. He may be analyzing something, applying something, and then finally do it. But majority of the job that we want them to do, the person will be involving in a particular level. What is that level according to your expectation? That is the question. So for example, if you want them to explain something, how are they explaining? Or how do you want them to explain? By remembering something alone, then it is an explanation in a remember level. But if you want them to explain, for example, you ask them to explain a concept in a different regional language, for example, Telugu or Tamil. So if they don't understand the concept, they cannot explain. Now the level is understanding, right? So different level, this explanation is possible. Which kind of explanation is that you are looking for as a teacher? Suppose you want them to explain by analyzing. Analyzing means identify the pros and cons and then explain. If that is what you want, then the explain is in the analyze level. But if you want a plain conceptual understanding and then explain, that is a level of understanding. So now the question is, which level you want? What is your pick? Shivakumar, what do you think? Which level you want them to explain?
Yes, sir. I understand, sir. Now I clearly understand how in the question based on the concept of.
Okay, so if you understand, then which level you think you want them to explain?
Yeah, now I want to give an analyze, sir.
Analyze level only. Okay. So that means, yeah, if you want an explanation at analytical level, they need to explain things with the pros and cons, right? What is the merit? What is the demerit? Or try to compare something and then explain. A bit more involved explanation is what you are expecting. All right. Okay. Let us hear from Kalyan Chakravarti. Mr. P. Kalyan Chakravarti.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Who is
Sir, I'm
speaking?
Sunita.
Sunita.
I'm Sunita,
Yeah.
sir. Sir,
Okay.
one question, sir. Whether all the labels will be applicable to like all the subjects? Suppose like theoretical subject is there, mathematical subject is there. So accordingly, whenever we are teaching any theoretical paper, we are expecting more in the remembering and the understanding.
Yeah, there is
Similarly,
nothing
if we'll
wrong
go
in.
for the
There is
so
nothing
similarly,
wrong.
whenever we'll go for any conceptual paper, we are going for like analyzing this. We have to apply all those things, concepts and all. So is it okay, sir, or like for all the subjects it should be same only, equal
So
level?
yeah. So to answer that question, any topic that you teach in principle, you can teach in any level. You can have expectation in any level. It's not like concept should be analyze level or theoretical subject should be in remember, understand. There is no classification like that. Any topic anything that you want to teach anybody, it is possible in all the levels. Point number 1. Now, point number 2, how do we pick and choose this? Right?
Yes, sir.
So now that depends upon whether you are working in a completely autonomous institute or you are working in a affiliated system. If you are working in an autonomous system, teacher decides for this particular program, like undergraduate program or a postgraduate program, in this year, this is the level of thinking that I want my students to have. It is purely teacher's choice in an autonomous system.
Yes, sir. I'm working in university autonomous system.
That means there should not be, you will be the master of your course. Nobody should interfere. Is that the situation?
Yes, sir. I have to design.
So then if you are designing the course, if you are designing the expectation, if you are conducting the examination, you are evaluating, if everything is done by you, you need to decide the level.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can still use some of these factors, other non-academic factors like the what do you call prerequisites of your learners that you are getting, and the time of the semester, the amount of the syllabus, many other aspects you can consider in deciding the level. But
there is no such criteria, no, sir. There is no such criteria like for this particular subject, this much level should be there and all. There is no such criteria.
No. Any subject can be taught in any level.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
If participants have questions, please raise your hand or you can unmute and talk.
Sir, one question is there, sir.
Yes.
Sir, suppose we are conducting mid-examination of the duration of 1 hour or 1.5 hours. Now, is it possible that we can judge the student by asking the question of higher order thinking in this much small duration?
So, higher order thinking generally demands more time, depends upon the level of thinking, because it becomes more and more difficult for an average learner. But it also depends upon how teacher trains them. So there's a semester time. Like for example, if you are planning a midsem exam, from the beginning up to the midsem, how effectively the teacher is training in higher order thinking. If that training is properly done, analyze, definitely they can do in 1.5 hours. Right? Evaluate and create. Normally, universities won't target. There are several reasons for that. One is this time. Other one is not only time, but multiple answers are possible in both levels. So when you have deal with a bunch of students and everyone can potentially give a separate answer, evaluation becomes very tedious. So that's why university system generally don't target evaluate level and design level, create level on the top 2 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. But other levels, that mean analyze and apply. Analyze in particular is definitely possible in 1.5 hour exam, provided teacher is giving ample opportunity for the students to analyze things in the class before the midsem exam. If teacher is giving a lecture mode class, then expect them to analyze something in the 1.5 hour, impossible.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, as you said, any subjects can be taught in any level. But all graduate attributes starting with the apply level. Then what's your justification, sir?
Graduate attributes are common for all programs. There is something called PSO, right? Program specific things. That is where the input from your institution should come. That is your choice. So all levels are given, choice is given. You decide first which level you want to target. Train them for that level, assess in that level. So it's a very pretty straightforward system. There is no hide and seek here. You have the choice of 6 levels. And in fact, whatever subject you are teaching, do you think there's a 7th level that you want them to perform? If you think about it, you will see that there is no other thought process that you want them to actually involve, irrespective of any subject. So yeah, within these 6 levels, you choose. Graduate attributes are common for all programs. So they put somewhere in the middle. But it doesn't mean that you have to always write outcomes in the apply level for graduate programs. Any other questions?
Sir, I had one question a bit related to the GATE examinations. Mostly the GATE examination is becoming in higher order skill level only. So that is from apply level to the higher level. So I'm right, sir?
Yeah, mostly analytical level. All these entrance examinations are usually analytical level.
Competitive examinations. Okay, sir. Okay.
Because see, up to remember, understand, apply, many students can reach. But analyze is, that's why we said higher order thinking, because analyze level is the difference between apply level and analyze level is a concept. If the student knows to use the concept, step 1, step 2, step 3, and just execute it, that's called apply level job. They know what is to be done first, what is to be done third. If that clarity is there and they simply execute it, that level of job is called apply level job. In analyze level, the same concept. The difference is student doesn't know which is the first step, which is second step, which is third step. Only thing is that he knows the concept. How to use it in that context is doesn't know. That is where it becomes analytical thinking. See, analysis means the brain is trying to identify the connection between the parts of a data set. Data set is provided. Now the person has to connect it. These individual connections are not known to the learner. Then we say now she is analyzing. Her brain is analyzing now. That's called analysis level. Okay. So any competitive exam has to be in analytical level. Otherwise, several people will qualify. So the idea of competitive exam is elimination. So we need to filter it out, means you need to do difficult job. That's the only way we can do. Any other questions about the design of outcomes? So as we said, outcomes contains 2 aspects. Please ensure that both are coming in your learning outcome statement.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, while designing our question paper, sir, for theoretical paper, sir, we need to ask all the questions in remembering, understanding, and apply level only, sir.
No, the question setting depends upon your outcomes.
Okay, sir. For theoretical paper, sir, my outcome is analyzing the concept of organization and management. I am handling a paper for MBA principles of management, sir.
Okay, so let us look at that learning outcome. You said analyze the concepts of management,
organization and management, sir. Sir,
what is the level of thinking is analyze?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is actually they're doing the action? Analyze is something that happening in their mind.
Yes, sir.
What actually something that you observe them doing with the pen and paper or with the computer? What are they actually doing when they analyze this organizational management, whatever that you told?
Sir, management and organization people doing different set of work, sir. So they are analyzing what kind of works these people are doing.
Right. And then how do we know that they are actually analyzing it? What is that action that you see them doing? After analyzing, they will explain to you, or they will write, or they will what are they doing?
They will write, sir. They will write, sir.
So that is the action word. So everything there will be always an action that you see which correspond to the level of thinking, reflecting that level of thinking.
Yes.
Okay. So write some of these things, and the level of thinking required is analyze. So if you are, that is the learning outcome, then ideally question should also come in that level.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. Because why we are telling learning outcome is at some point we are going to assess it.
Yes, sir. Right, sir. Sure.
Right? This is our expectation of your learning. We are telling you in advance so that you can also prepare. I will also try to prepare, and finally I will assess it.
Oh, yes. Right.
Okay. So every learning outcome should be assessed.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So now, yeah. So this is what we actually did it. This experiment. Learning outcome, identify an observable action and a corresponding level of thinking. Now, the second aspect, as I said, 3 aspects are there. Second thing is where you can use your, tools. Pedagogy works both offline and online, but tools are important, and tools are basically decided based on the level that you target. For example, suppose your learning outcomes and create level. There's a specific way of teaching. Okay, all methods may not lead to all outcomes. That's why teachers should be trained on what is the method of teaching that you should adopt so that the expected outcome is achieved. Many times teachers complain that outcomes are not attained because the method that we choose may not be the correct one. And there are so many methods, as you can see in this slide. These are only some of them. These are all RBIS, research-based instructional strategies, simply teaching methods. So, and this list is not exhaustive. Okay. Now, the unfortunate thing is, like teachers in higher education, like you and me, we are not trained on these things. This is the problem. Okay. We should actually get training, like workshops, intense workshops on involving you with developing teaching modules based on these methods. Then we can use this method to attain the outcome. And when you use this method, for example, if you look at the first part, there is something called a peer instruction model. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In peer instruction model, you can use technology. You can use without technology also. So what I'm trying to communicate is technology is only a tool, but in what context the tool should be used, teachers should be trained. Giving a tool alone is not sufficient. Okay. So obviously, I think somebody's microphone is on. Can you please mute? So when we use these methods in different contexts, then we will see somebody's microphone is on. Please mute it. Okay. I will just, these are some of this data, but I think I don't need to tell you that these methods works better than the conventional lecture-based class. There are a lot of studies in the literature, educational research, which are indicating that interactive learning is better than traditional lecture-based class. So if you have questions on this, we'll come back and discuss. But this is the primary takeaway. If you want to do any method of teaching, methodical teaching, the primary takeaway is that student learning success depends much less on what teachers do than what teachers ask their students to do. In the classroom, what are you asking them to do? That's very important. That is what actually deciding the quality of learning. For example, in this workshop, I ask you to design an outcome, ask you to tell an outcome. Now, only when you tell me, I will come to know that what are the missing links. I can give a talk without asking this, but doesn't help. So online or offline, the teacher needs to engage the learners and then see where they stand. So what kind of questions you ask in classroom is the key part. Okay. Now, when you choose a particular teaching method, the question is, In that teaching method, there should be some student-centric activity in the class. Now, does your teaching strategy involves learner-centered activities matching with the level targeted? Now, I want you to think about some strategy, something that you can do in the classroom. You ask them to do something which is matching with the level of thinking that you want them to do. So I want you to first set the level. For the last exercise, you have actually set a level of thinking. Now come up with a particular activity and then tell me, I want them to do this activity so that this level of thinking can be achieved. So go ahead. Take a minute. Tell me an activity that you can do in the classroom which help the learners to achieve a particular level of thinking. After 1 minute, I will take the feedback. Okay. So, oh, actually, I didn't share the slide. Sorry.
No, sir, it is not visible, sir.
Okay. I thought I shared the slide. How about now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, visible.
Sir, it's visible now, sir.
Sorry, these were the data that, so I was telling all these things, you did not tell me also. Okay, this was the RBIS. These are the methods of teaching. So many methods are there. One of the things that left side I was telling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, peer instruction, right? You see that peer instruction. But the important thing is that will facilitate certain kind of level of thinking. Whereas after peer instruction, you can see problem-based learning. That particular type of method will facilitate one particular level of thinking. So depends upon the level of thinking that you are targeting, a particular teaching method can be adopted. That's what I basically told you. And these are some data from the literature, which I think we'll skip it. Essentially tells you that interactive learning is much better than lecture-based class. Okay, so now this is what I read. Primary takeaway from the research is that student learning success depends much less on what teachers do than what teachers ask their students to do. And this was the activity that I told you. Think about a student-centric activity matching with the level targeted. These are the 6 levels that you are targeting. Yes. So now let us request some of the participants. Lakshmi is there, M. Lakshmi. Okay. Ramya. Yes, Ramya. Okay. Shashi Ranjan. Shashi Ranjan. Sujata.
Yes, sir.
Can you respond?
Sir, you're just asking about this peer learning, right?
What is that?
Peer learning.
No, not peer learning. Can you see the slide now?
No, I can't see the slides. Sir. No.
You cannot.
This. No, I cannot. Like this team screen only is there, sir, actually.
I see. Okay, let me see. How about now?
No, not that, sir. Yeah. Create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, remember. Yes, I can see, sir.
So on the right hand side, you can see a teaching strategy involving a student-centered activity.
Learner-centered activities matching with the level targeted. So actually, there is a pattern in. Actually, I'm working in BIT Vellore.
Okay.
So we normally follow this Bloom's taxonomy level while they are going to set the question paper to ensure. Now it's going to be like in 5 questions means. So each question should fall on any one of the category of this, as you mentioned in this: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So based on that, the questions will be fixed in the case of the question paper point of the view. And similarly, coming on with the syllabus, syllabus point of the view also, each and every
the question here is, can you think of a student-centered activity which is matching or helping a student to reach a particular level of thinking? Can you give an example?
So question paper is one example.
No, the kind of, so depends upon the subject that you teach. Can you pull out one example and say that I want them to do this in the classroom so that this level is facilitated? This thinking level is facilitated.
So, for example, in the case of the software project management, I used to handle the software project management. So, in that, I will ask them to explore on the tools, software project management tools. So to check what are the features of the particular tool and work for some system in that particular software project management tool. So this will help them to give the better understanding at the very preliminary level, and at the advanced level, it helps them to give the analyzing skill. It optimizes the analyzing skills. Sir.
Okay, so your the expected.
Sir,
explore, or you said explore. You also said check. Which one?
Explore.
Explore. Okay. Yeah. One of the things that normally see this activity when we give to the students, one suggestion that normally people give is make the activity a bit more clear. That means explore is a verb where the limits are not specified, right? What they are supposed to do is not very clear. But in an in-class activity, it is always better if you tell them in a very specific fashion, because time is very short. In that 50 minutes or 1 hour class, we need to achieve some specific skill or facilitate some thinking skill.
Yes, sir, excuse me, sir. I didn't meant for like in 50 minutes of a class. We have like a J component for each and every stuff. So in that, I used to use the word explore because we are having like 100 marks for that particular stuff alone. So that is the reason I have given a word explore. So that is not like a 50 minutes class time. It is going to be 50 minutes class time.
Even if it is 2 hours, it doesn't matter. Explore is still a kind of a activity where this communication gap can happen. What teacher wants and what student is understanding. So the suggestion is probably put it in a very bit more black and white. Okay. So all right. So let us.
Yes, sir. Can I come in, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, there is very simple activity. Sometimes I conduct on not regular basis, and the activity is like this. Class hour is around 50 minutes. After completing the class, sometimes I give time of 5 minutes to the students, and I ask whatever we discussed, you frame 3 questions, multiple choice based questions.
Okay. So now by this activity, let us ask ourselves, by this particular activity, which level of thinking are we targeting, and are we intended to target those levels in the learning outcomes?
Like understand level, if they are able to understand that lecture properly, then there is a possibility that they can create, they can frame some questions.
Actually, so when they frame the question, they are not only understanding, they are actually working on the higher levels.
Analyze also, I think. Analyze.
Yeah, it has to be
Yes.
analyzed.
Yes.
And sometimes creative also. Because so now the problem that it's a good exercise. I'm not criticizing the exercise, but now the levels that is targeted and intended probably are different. That is the problem in choosing the activity. Suppose you want them to target understand level, the kind of activity that we choose should also facilitate in that level. Otherwise, the problem is some other levels is getting facilitated, which is also required for learning. But now finally, when you test them in understand level, these exercises are not going to help them because they were creatively thinking, they were analytically thinking. Though all the mental exercise that we give in the classroom, if it is mismatched with the level that is targeted, then the exercise as such is not giving help. The sole idea of designing this exercise is facilitate thinking in that particular level you want them to think. So suppose you want understand level. So what kind of actions may be helping in that level? Suppose you want them to apply level. What kind of actions that you think will facilitate apply level thinking? So this is where teachers' subject expertise should help to design an activity. Activity is not just for the sake of activity. Activity's purpose is to process the content in that particular level of cognition. We are helping them. And it should be within the class, not homework. Within the class, teachers should make students to work on these things. That is how these outcomes are going to be attained. If you think lectures are going to enable them to these levels of thinking, we are totally mistaken. If that's the case, education is very easy, right? You can just give a lecture and they hear and then they get all these abilities, thinking skills, which will never happen. So suppose, so let us hear another example. One activity and the corresponding level of thinking that you want them to work on. Anyone would like to comment? Exercise. Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Dr. I. Kala, PSG ITech, sir.
Okay.
I'm handling currently for final year students cryptography network security.
Okay.
In that, to explain about the converting the plain text, the original message into an unreadable form. So the encryption concept, to explain what I did is initially I share one content like I want to meet you like that. I pass it on to each and every students, and it will be reached to when one girl I already mentioned this message need to be conveyed to this particular student like Robert Batu.
Okay.
So it will be passed on. So everybody will open and read it. They are able to read the content. Then what I did is I made it as in converting into a ciphertext. And that when they open and read again the another message in an unreadable form I'm passing on. So when I'm passing on, the intermediate people, they are opening and read, they don't understand. When it is reached already Robert Buttle, I conveyed what kind of technique I applied to convert into plain text into ciphertext. So what I made is them to analyze and think over what is an encryption through activity based. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, see, actually, when we teach encryption, what we ask the teachers is, what is the skill that you want them to develop? That means, suppose you want them to do the encryption. If that is the ability that we are targeting.
No, initially to say about what is an encryption.
The concept.
Yeah.
Okay. The
So they'll
concept
be thinking over through activity. Oh, what is it? I don't understand the content. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
they'll be analyzing it. Yeah.
They may not be. Yeah. So if you're targeting understand level, right? Are you targeting understand
No,
level?
Analyzing.
Analyzing
They have
levels.
to analyze. Already in computer networks, they might have learned about an encryption. But when I'm passing on, they'll analyze and they'll think over what is it? I don't understand what is this content is. So
now
this is how the encryption works.
Right.
So
But now the problem is when we are teaching them this first class and then when they do this, even
it
if
may
we
be an
say
understand level also. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is analyze level thinking. What are they analyzing? See, suppose they are not able to decode or code. This is not taught. how to do.
Yeah.
Before
Yes,
that,
yes.
you want them to analyze. Then what are they analyzing? Because they don't know what to do, right? They may be thinking
Okay.
or kind
First
of wondering.
understand level, yes.
So this exercise may be targeting towards more understanding level.
Understand
This is
level,
what
yeah, yes,
coding
yes.
means. That clarity
And
they will come.
yeah, one more example I can tell. I'll be giving one ciphertext and I'll ask them to find out what is an original plaintext. That is an analyzed level, right? Yes.
So
Yes.
you can ask them to do after teaching the coding, decoding everything, and then give a particular context, and then give the message. Ask them to decode it.
Yes.
And change the concept, change the context. In one context, this is another context. Keep on changing the context. Then they have to analyze.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. Familiar concept, if they are decoding, that is an apply level job.
Yes.
But when you
yes,
take
sir.
the same job to an unfamiliar situation, it becomes automatically analyze level job.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good. So there are so the most important thing in activity-based class is a must. If teachers say that I don't have time, then you can teach by lecture also, but don't expect any outcome, because outcomes solely depends upon their activity, because we are expecting outcome from them. If they simply sit and listen to you, none of these outcomes will come. You ask them to code and decode, let them do it, then only the outcome will come. So one particular method of teaching many of you must be knowing, that is flipped class, which you can use ICT tools online mode. And this slide will tell you what is the difference between a traditional classroom and a flipped classroom. On left side, what is the features of traditional class? Right side, what you see is the approach of a flipped class. Take 1 minute to read it. After reading, I will ask you a question.
Cheers.
Okay, now the question is, what is the major difference that you see between a traditional class and a flipped class? Reshmi? Reshmi Katie? Okay. S. Parani? Okay. Janardhan?
Sir, yeah.
Yeah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir.
Did you see the slide?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me the major difference that you felt?
That's what in flipped classroom we need to give the information to the student either in the form of video or any kind of material where student go through that material. Unlike conventional method where directly student will come to the class without having any prior information, directly he will sit to whatever we teach, he will listen, sir. That's what.
That is first difference.
First difference.
That's only
sir.
Difference.
And not only that, after that, like interactive session. Flipped classroom always like a interactive session where the faculty always they are going to act as a mentor, like between the students and the he's not going to be a facilitator, we can say. He's not like a delivering lecture. Always you help the student to interact and they will get more extract from the students what they learned from the previous information and all.
So, so that is exactly. Now the question is two questions. One is, do you think all students will watch a video and come in practical?
No, sir.
No. So what do we do? That is the question number one. Second question is, when we
Yes.
say facilitate learning, that means you teacher want to extract this information from. How do actually we do in a class? Right? I mean, we are not trained for that. So what exactly the plan? We will. So these two
Yes,
things
sir.
we need to think. So let us address the first question. You can take a few, seconds. So the idea is, all of them will not watch the video for sure, 100%. We were all kids at once upon a time, so we know how kids behave.
Yes, sir.
So in that situation, how do we go about?
Yeah, like there are several tools are there in current days, like where after watching the video, even we can give like Google Forms with the student, where they need to give their responses after watching that video. Prior, if you give, we can easily identify what sorts of the students they have responded for that video and all. At least we can monitor that, and even we can suggest students also prior, like you people have not yet answered that some of them. So like that we can prior we can intimate the student before reaching to the class. That is one way.
That is one way. Along with
Another
that
way
line,
is like in the video itself, we can frame some of the questions, like by using tools and all, where the student will answer that questions. Like that we can easily at least we can monitor like whether they have did that, watched that video and all.
Very good. So this is doable. Like you said, in the video itself, we can embed some of these questions, and only when they answer, the video will further move.
Yes, sir.
So such kind of possibilities are there, but you need to get adapt to that kind of technology. If none of these things teachers are not familiar, then there's an easy way. There is another easy way that when they come to the class, we can have a.
Sir, I am not getting.
So they watch and come to the class.
Can you repeat, sir? Because voice is all of a sudden is down. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, teacher can ask them to watch a video and come, and when they come, we.
Sir, again, I don't know whether it is the problem with my internet or that side. Still, again, the same word it is breaking, sir.
I see. No problem. I see. I don't know what is here. Internet is stable. Okay. Anyway, I will repeat it. What I'm trying to say is,
in the class, what we need to do, sir?
Do a short quiz.
Okay, sir. Okay.
In the beginning, which carries marks.
Okay.
So now, when we tell them in advance this, again, a small fraction will not watch, whatever it comes, whatever method you do. But the percentage of students watching the video will increase significantly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's one thing. Now coming to the second part of the flipped class, which is how do we do this role of facilitator?
Role of facilitator.
Because in the class we cannot do lecture. Lecture is already done outside.
Yes, sir. Like that's what, sir. We can make a group, like student groups, like 1, 2, 3 groups. Thereby we can ask the student to whatever they have watched the video and all. So like we'll ask that common output from the different groups and all. Like based on that, we can see which group is involved enthusiastically in watching.
Okay, so now I will suggest a slight modification. Essentially the same thing, but when they come to the class after these cues, and then we ensure that majority watched and all, the next step is actually teacher have a learning outcome or set of learning outcome. Every learning outcome start with an observable action.
Okay.
Calculate, design, classify, draw. Why don't we ask them to do that activity there?
Yes, sir. That's good. Yeah.
That is the purpose of learning outcome. Why we say it has to be observable is we should be able to see whether they are doing it or not.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have to really worry about designing activity. Activity is already designed in terms of learning outcomes.
Okay, sir.
All that we need to do is ask them to do it.
Yes,
Suppose
sir.
you want them to solve a problem, let them solve the problem in the class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? So
Yes.
that is the facilitation. Now the problem solving should not be done by just 1 or 2 students, the entire students in the class.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And see how many they can. Okay, very good. So now it is 12:26. We have 4 minutes to wind up the workshop. Any other questions? So far we discussed aspects. If teachers want to raise some questions, participants want to raise any questions, please unmute, or you can raise your hand.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, if I state our outcome is to the level of understand level, that is K2 level. But if I supposed to ask a question in apply level, if it possible, sir,
it is.
Otherwise, I have to ask in a K2 level itself.
So I mean, let us think about it. Is it ethically correct if you say this is my expectation of thinking, but I will test you on a different level? It's not correct, no? We say that.
Yes, sir.
See,
Okay.
it's like suppose we say it's like I'm teaching somebody to run 100 meter. I'm a coach, sports coach, and now semester along I will teach them to run on 100 meter, but on the sports day I will give a pole vault, and now you jump. Is it fair? Not fair,
Sir.
no? That's the same
Yes,
principle.
Sir, yes, sir.
So whatever level we are targeting, assessment should be at that same level.
Okay, sir. Okay.
We can always set any higher level, but training should be, or outcome should be also in that level.
Okay. Sir.
Other questions?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, we are having the course outcome at analyze level. If I want to test the students to the analyze level to solve some problems on the board, but we do not have time to assess all the students in the same category.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
how does it possible, sir?
One practical technique is tell them that next class there is a I will be calling students for doing this problem. Just assume that you're informing them a priori. Tell also that I may be grouping you and I will give you some time to work out, but I will randomly call somebody to the board. This one random pick is one strategy that can be effectively utilized in a class to ensure that majority of the students will attempt. Okay, so you may not be able to test everybody's, but throw a problem, give some time for them to work it out in their pen, and don't abruptly call them on the board. That will be really counterproductive. Give some time, let them work it out in group so that others can also learn from each other and they have something to in their hand. Now you say that I'm going to pick you randomly. This information should be given 1 day before. Some absentees will be there because of that. Leave it, but it will work for majority of the students, and you pick somebody randomly, ask them to come to the board and do it. This is one strategy which actually works in classroom. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Now it is 12:30. Over to the coordinators.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your useful inputs. And I believe that all the participants enjoyed this effective teaching. Really, it is very interactive, sir. And I can say that it's an eye-opening session for all the participants.
Thank you.
And particularly, sir, you have given points related to level of thinking and effectiveness of teaching learning, particularly the 3 pillars: intended learning, methods of teaching, and assessment. So it's really wonderful, sir, and it's very useful for all the participants. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, actually, sir.
All the best. Yeah.
Sir, one small question is there, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we discuss, sir, all these things are really useful for the students.
Right.
But sometimes what problems are there, sir, in teaching fraternity? We keep the syllabus very heavy sometimes.
Right.
And now the problem is there is in the back of our mind is we have to cover the syllabus also. How we really means come out from this problems?
So one actually ideal approach, which will probably come in a few years down the line. Once an institute or a faculty member convert the syllabus to 4 or 5 outcomes, once that exercise is done, then we should not go back to the syllabus. Then we have 5 outcomes to achieve. Whichever way possible, you now target on these 5 outcomes. So there are 5 things for a semester, not the entire syllabus. The essence of that syllabus we skewed and then we made 5 points. Now you target only those 5 elements or 6 elements. There will be always 5, 6 outcomes for that course. No, focus on that. Forget about the syllabus. This practice has to come. Otherwise, as you said, teacher will write 6 outcomes and then go back to the syllabus, start with the first line, second topic, third topic, fourth topic. It goes like that. Then we'll fall back to the old model.
That means there should be full autonomy to the teacher, right?
Ideally, yeah. This will work full complete sense when teacher gets complete autonomy. Yes.
Sir, I saw once in one institute I was working there. So first time I was going to teach MTech subject.
Okay.
Then I asked, sir, where is the syllabus? So that dean, he gave me one page. The name of the subject was there. That's all. Then I asked, sir, where is this? Because we are habitual about the content should be there.
Right,
he said, in MTech there is nothing. Where whatever you want, in how much deep you want, you go, you teach. So that autonomy is required, sir.
Yeah. So autonomy, the only problem is autonomy with accountability. So I mean, communicate this to the student and then focus on only those few aspects. It is, as you rightly said, it's not the breadth, it is the depth that matters. So pick up a few skills in that semester and we train them to get that level of thinking. That is the goal where I think we are all moving towards that slowly but steadily.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. And bye-bye for now. All the
Thank
best.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, please, can you share the feedback link? Hello?
Yeah, ma'am. Already I shared in the chat box. Feedback
No.
link is shared.
No, in the Teams.
It's not visible, ma'am.
Yeah,
No,
chat
it's not
is
appearing.
chat in channel meeting is only
Chat
available to team members.
disabled actually. It is not there.
And on top of that, I am not using the Telegram. I'm just relying only on the Teams, ma'am. That is the reason it's
Yeah, ma'am.
required for me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Madam, chat box is not open.
Yeah, chat box is
Ma'am,
disabled.
chat box is disabled, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. I'll make it enable, ma'am. I'll make it enable.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, chat box is not available.
Actually, the teams, whoever had the teams only will get chat box.
Madam, please be patient. We are enabling the chat box. Within a minute, we will definitely enable it. Please be patient.
அதான் கீதா செல்வராணி நான் இதுல ஏற்கனவே எக்ஸல் ஒரு தடவை நடத்தேன். ஒரு ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் செகண்ட் டே ஆஃப்டர்நூன் செஷன் என்னோட பேர் போட்டுக்கோ. கீதா செல்வராணி மேம் ஒன்று போட்டியா, ரஜேந்திரன் சார் ஒன்று போட்டேன். இல்லவா ஒரு ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் என் பேர் வச்சுக்கோ. இதுக்குள்ளாரே 4 பேர் பேரையும் கொண்டு வரணுமா? ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் எப்படி கிருஷ்ணா 4 பேர் இதுக்குள்ள கொண்டு வரணும்? 2 பேர் மட்டும் போட்டுக்கோம். ஒரு நாள் ஒருத்தர் இதெல்லாம் மாத்தணும்டா.
யார் ஒருத்தர் வெளியே
2 பேர் கீதா செல்வராணி கஜேந்திரன் போட்டாங்க. ஈஸ்வரமூர்த்தி சம்பத்குமார்.
Madam Shivasangari madam.
Sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
You can enable it in the afternoon session, not a issue. Ask the participants to leave because anyhow they need to go for lunch and come back now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can enable it.
Possible to give the feedback link in Telegram?
Yeah, definitely we'll do it, sir.
Sir, don't worry, sir. Even we'll make it available in the afternoon session also. No need to worry about that. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Because instead of holding the people, you can enable it in the afternoon session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we leave the session, sir? Can we exit from the
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
you can exit, madam. Tomorrow, the afternoon session, you will provide the link enable to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
Ma'am, can I leave the session, ma'am?
Yeah,
Yes,
you can,
yes,
sir.
sir.
Not a problem.
I request all the participants to leave the session, and the session 1 feedback link will be shared in the session 2.
Thank you, ma'am.
And please, you request 10 minutes prior to the session 2. Thank you all.
Three o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. Next session is at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
you.